Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the story behind the headlines. And today we're talking about a big one. The FBI just raided a Georgia elections office, seizing hundreds of boxes of 2020 election records. So, federal agents just seized 2020 election records in what is arguably one of America's most contested counties. And yeah, this sent shock waves across the country. So today, we're going to unpack what happened, why it's become so incredibly divisive, and what this could all mean for the future of American elections. So let's set the scene. It all kicked off on January 28th, 2026. FBI agents show up at the Fulton County election hub, and they had a very specific target in mind: the records from the 2020 presidential election. Okay, so let's get into the details of the warrant itself. What exactly were these federal agents looking for? Well, turns out the warrant gave them some pretty sweeping authority to seize a whole range of materials. And when I say a huge range, I mean it. This was absolutely no small operation. We're talking about agents spending the entire day removing over 700 boxes of materials from this one facility. And they were taking basically everything. I mean, they seized pretty much every single physical and digital record of the vote. Think about it. All the physical ballots, the tabulator tapes from the machines, the digital images of the ballots, even the voter rolls. The seizure was, in a word, total. So you might be wondering, how can they just do that? Well, the legal basis for this whole raid is something called Title 52 of the U.S. Code. Now, this federal law is super important because it's all about how election records have to be preserved, and it also strictly prohibits any kind of fraudulent voting. By citing this specific law, the FBI is basically laying out its justification for this entire investigation. And right away, this sparked a major conflict. I mean, the moment those 700-plus boxes were out the door, local officials started raising the alarm. They immediately wanted to know about the chain of custody. Their question was pretty simple. Where are ballots, and how exactly are you keeping them secure? But, the chain of custody issue wasn't the only thing that had people talking. The fact that one very specific, very high-profile person was there, well, that added a whole new layer of mystery to the entire event. So who was it? None other than the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She was physically on site during the raid. And that is highly unusual. The DNI's job is typically focused on foreign threats, not domestic law enforcement. So you can imagine her presence immediately raised all sorts of questions about the true scope of this investigation. Now, the official explanation we got from a senior administration official was that her role in protecting election infrastructure justified her being there. But for a lot of people watching this unfold, that answer just kind of deepened the mystery. It made them wonder if this probe was really about much more than just handling ballots. So with a story this big, it's really no surprise what happened next. The raid was immediately interpreted through two completely different partisan lenses. The political fallout wasn't just fast, it was instantaneous and absolutely explosive. I mean, you really could not have two more opposite reactions. On one side, Democrats saw an abuse of federal power, an assault on democracy itself, and an attempt to intimidate voters in a Democratic stronghold. On the other side, Republicans saw a long overdue step toward accountability that would finally get them some answers. Georgia's Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff, he did not mince words. He called it, and I'm quoting here, a sore loser's crusade. He directly linked the entire raid to President Trump's past efforts to challenge Georgia's 2020 results. Now, flip over to the other side of the aisle. You have Georgia's GOP chairman, Josh McCone, who praised the action. He said it was long overdue and a step toward accountability, really echoing supporters who've been saying for years that there were irregularities that needed a full-blown federal investigation. And what about the folks on the ground? Well, local leaders in Fulton County were, to put it mildly, furious. The commission chairman, Rob Pitts, came out swinging. He vehemently defended his county's election process, pointing out that multiple audits, several recounts, and a bunch of court rulings had already confirmed the fairness and accuracy of the 2020 results. So you can see how this one single event really captures a fundamental conflict in American politics right now. Is this an assault on the democratic process, or is it a necessary act of accountability? And that leaves us with a really critical question to think about. Is this investigation a path to finding justice for 2020, or is it setting a dangerous new precedent that could actually threaten the future of election integrity for 2028 and beyond? This explainer is based on some great reporting from the Shasta Beacon. If you want to dig deeper into the story, you can find their original work over at shastabeacon.com. Thanks for joining us.